We will call the meeting to order. Dan won't be here tonight, so we have everybody else. I have a question, actually. Item 2, approval of the meeting agenda. We've always done that? We didn't used to do that, did we?
Oh, I don't remember.
How did that get here?
Do we explicitly need to do it? Maybe that's a better question.
I don't think so. I don't know. My first 4 years on the board, we didn't do it.
I can double check that it's not necessary, and if it's not, we can just strike
Yeah, let's
stop doing
strike
it.
Okay, well-
I'll double check before we do it though.
in that case, I guess I need a motion to approve the agenda as printed in the packet.
Moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Aye.
All right.
Oops, I'm not supposed to do. Much to learn. Is there any public discussion? No?
I have a request to change the order of something on the agenda because some of our staff need to leave
Okay,
during the meeting. Could we move the new catalog update to the beginning of the agenda?
sure.
Great.
Are there objections? I mean, it's probably the most significant part of the agenda anyway, so no.
Yep. Good. Thank you.
So I don't know who's doing that.
And if you, the page 39 is where the
Okay.
related report is.
So a little less than a month ago, we released our new catalog on October 26th. And I wanted to take the opportunity to explain that project. The new catalog is an open source software that developed, parts of it were developed in-house by our IT staff. And although we kind of went through some of these things in the packet itself, a lot of highlights, and then Brett will also go over a few things, and then we have a list of hints in here. So web specialist who's going to go through a presentation on some of the features that we're most proud of. So I thought I'd just give you an overview of the project. This has been a long time coming. So our previous strategic plan, which started in 2016, we identified the website as being a place that we wanted to further develop. So we wanted to create it into more of a virtual branch. The virtual branch would be more rather than information about the library. These are our hours. Here's our catalog. We wanted to be more interactive. So if you can look at our staff picks page or the calendar or the updates to the video website, all of that was included in the virtual branch. The biggest project that was identified through that whole process was the catalog. And the catalog was important for a couple of reasons. One, it was the most used portion of our website by patrons. It was the thing we received the most complaints about. And it is also a very expensive piece of software. It's from our vendors. And there wasn't a lot that we could actually do about a kind of static product from Innovative. We couldn't really change the way it worked. We couldn't change the way it looked. We made some modifications where we could. We added some menus on the top. We kind of look at the old Encore. It was very different, but we adopted it in 2008. And one of the phrases that it was supposed to be was this discovery layer, a web 2.0 software. I mean, that's how dated the software is. When we were going through some of the complaints, we talked to patrons, we did surveys with staff and patrons, identifying the things that they wanted to see from the catalog, and we developed a committee. The committee was composed of a variety of staff members from different departments, and we identified what things we wanted to do with the catalog. What are some priorities? What were some weaknesses with the current software? What were some things that they enjoyed? And we looked at a variety of products, from BiblioCommons to actually ViewFind, but there were some software companies that developed their own ViewFind that we could apply as well. And after doing that and looking at ViewFind, we made the decision to take some of the control ourselves, really make the product geared and specialized to what our patrons were asking for. Do you want to add anything to that?
So I'm just going to kind of talk a little bit about.
Well, any questions so far?
I'm just going to talk a little bit about what we mean by catalog and what we mean by an ILS, the integrated library system. If we kind of throw that around a bit. And we use both those terms to mean different things at different times, so it's really confusing. So what we developed sort of in the library, where we call it a discovery layer, it's a little bit different than an OPAC, which is what we used to call the online public access to your catalog. The discovery layer, would bring in more resources from your whole environment than just what the records are. And that's, for the university, they have millions of dollars worth of subscriptions to databases, serials, that sort of thing. So that's one way to pull them all together in a better circuitable interface. Whereas we have, our overdrive records, we stopped importing them, which is kind of a cumbersome process to get MARC records from overdrive and bring them into the integrated library system. So we're actually just pulling those in real time, and as those change, those get updated. So you sort of see how the discovery layer is not just searching the MARC records we have in our system, but it's also kind of pulling together other things. And as we go forward, we might be able to pull more resources. The integrated library system, it's also kind of fuzzy what we call that, but at times we just need the core product, the Sierra, which if you have a diagram there, is just the mod. There's two servers, there's an application server and a DB server, and those have different modules for cataloging and users, and both patrons and staff users, circulation, all those kind of things. So often we just kind of need that core piece, but sometimes when you talk about the ILS, we just need all the different pieces that Triple I or Innovative provides through around that. So there's various APIs. There's the desktop application that most of the staff use to access the ILS or the Sierra. So we could mean everything, kind of the whole thing, or we might just mean sort of like a sort of part of it when we say ILS. And so we kind of opted for catalog. We keep calling it catalog just because it's a little more user friendly for the patrons. And so usually when we're talking about the catalog, the old catalog now we're calling Cat Pro, which is sort of the innovative piece that is the searchable interface. And now we're calling it search.isql.org, which is a part we've been kind of talking about this whole time. And it's basically just a search index with account features involved in it, and that's pretty much what it is. Yeah. Any questions on that?
I had two.
Yes.
I noticed you call, I assume ILL means interlibrary loan. How does that work in the new system compared to the old?
I believe in the old one, there was no ILL capabilities at all.
Okay.
So
But more to the point, what I'm wondering about the most is ways of advertising things that we can make available that just like that, rather than there being any, basically remove any barriers to that. You know what I mean? It's okay. So what I'm thinking of is if someone were to search for a given book, we don't have it in our catalog.
oh, I see.
And let's say it's available at Cedar Rapids Public Library. I'd like the idea of seeing that book and saying, yeah, we have it available. It's just an ILL. It's as simple as that, rather than having that extra layer of, I don't know, is my imagination in the wrong place on that? Or
No, and we've actually looked at, there's other products that could be brought in that sort of, I'm not sure exactly how everybody can work with our ILS, but also can search all of different things. It was pretty expensive to do that, but there may be other ways we can do it, maybe using OCLC or whatever. Yeah, we can kind of take a look at and put that into the. We've got a long list of things that we'd like to do.
I know it's like nice to have.
So we'll kind of put that in as a possible.
Yeah, there's some fantastic models out there that are like that. So there's some New York regional libraries, or Massachusetts has a statewide system where you look into someone's library catalog and they don't have it, you can get it from a number of libraries throughout the state. It's very well supported by their state libraries. So if that's something that we're interested in, we should probably lobby the state library to work on providing that.
Okay. Then the other question I had to do with mobile app and any effect that that may or may not have.
The new catalog.
Yeah,
So the mobile app, we just kind of redid that, and it is, right now, they're kind of independent a little bit, but we've just added one little piece in that can show the concept of having your own lists within the catalog, and so I think Todd now is working on showing that within the app. So I think there's some opportunities for cross features there.
cool.
Is there anything in particular that you're thinking of?
No, I was just curious about it because I just knew that the mobile app was recently revised, so it's like, okay.
Well, they both use the same sort of interface to get and pull information from Sierra and iOS, so.
The main
there's some
difference is pretty simple.
possibilities.
So I'll just upfront say I'm much more, much happier about all this having read the report than I was before I read it. And I'm pretty happy. Do you have a sense of how many hours went into the development work? No, that's fine.
A lot, I mean.
A lot, yeah. That's an idea, a lot.
I would say, because we started with a product that's kind of functional,
Right.
we already kind of do stuff in it.
Right.
Making the modifications and adding things, and that ends up being way harder than we thought. But now that we kind of got our feet wet and kind of figured it out, it's going a bit faster. And, it's a big project.
And there's like 4 other places that put this into production?
No, there's a few other public.
Public,
libraries.
yeah.
But there's a big library network, with
Marmot,
Marmot.
Colorado.
Okay.
Colorado, which they've taken an earlier iteration of software and built on that. It's kind of like forked off, but they provide their version of it to libraries that they want to adopt it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's only a few public libraries that I know of.
Is it a pretty good community of developers?
Yeah, it's very responsive and there's a lot of activity and things, so they're following a really pretty tight release schedule every few months. And we have not been able to keep up with pulling all those new features in every time.
Sure.
But I think one of the good things is it sort of has an institutional home in Nova, and the guy there that I don't think he would say it's my project, but he's sort of like the caretaker of it. And if you email with a question, there's usually within a couple hours.
Yeah, that's great.
We'll show it off to you.
Sure.
I think you're in the way.
I just need
Am
access.
I in the way? Oh,
Want the mouse too?
Don't mind.
please, sure. Take this one. I'll move over. Okay.
And a lot of people don't. I know. I can't find it, then I'll go to the university library website. but-
I don't want people throwing up their hands. Like, well, I can't.
Elementary school.
It's like an addiction. It's like, oh, I can get that. Right.
Like,
Open up a lot.
I would request like dozens of things. And the librarian finally called my mom, like, Hannah's not possibly reading all of this. My mom said she actually is.
All right, so this is the new catalog. And as you can see, like one of the biggest changes is the branding is more similar to our website and everything else that we have in our web presence. And just as a quick overview of what's on the homepage. So we obviously have the search bar front and center. There's the new materials. We also have under that, there's the staff lists and also some featured things. These mimic what is on our website. And then down at the bottom, you'll notice we also have, any information that you would want to know about the library. This also mimics our website with, our contact us, and any quick links that we wanted to put down here. And this is where you'll find the interlibrary loan link. So to your point earlier about making ILL easier to find, it is at the bottom of every page in the catalog.
That's solid.
So just to kind of go over some of the features that you'll notice. So if you start typing anything in, it'll give you some search suggestions based on items that we already have in our collection. And then one other thing I wanted to point out before we move on, you can also see, so this is what the mobile view looks like, which is much more user-friendly than our current one, or the old one, I should say. So it's much nicer, and all of the pages are responsive to device width. But so if I do a search, it'll function pretty similarly to our old one. And some of the nice features here is we broke out our collections. So there are a few collections that have subgenre or sub collections within them. So one of them being the adult nonfiction, the adult fiction has the general fiction, it has mystery, and it has science fiction, fantasy. And so we've pulled all of those out as separate collections. So that's an example of one customization that we were able to do with this to make it easier to kind of for patrons who are, specifically wanting to search a specific collection. If we go to a record page, one of the other nice things that we added for staff is there's now a staff view. So if somebody wanted to, normally they would have to go into Sierra, which is like the back end sort of thing to get this sort of information, but we can get record information like when it was last checked in. And we use this fairly regularly if something's not on the shelf and we want to see, oh, maybe it was just returned in the past day. So that's useful information for staff to find. We also have, you'll notice there's a link currently to the previous catalog. So if somebody did want to see what does this look like in the old catalog, they could still find that for now. And then another thing that we've added is some local cover images. So for some of our local content, like we have toys, we have our art to go collection, those types of things. We now have images for those in the catalog. So somebody can see what this art looks like, whereas I can pull up in the old catalog, they did not have anything. And
That's a huge improvement.
it is very nice. And all the children's toys also have pictures. So it's something that we're continually updating with more as we take those pictures and we can add them in fairly easily. So that's the searching side. And then there's also the account side, which let me grab my test patron. I didn't write it down. Apologies, I'm going to have to check my email for it. I think I saved it to this. No. Oh. All right. Sorry for the short excursion. Do that. All right, so then once you log in, you'll be able to see some of the account features that we also added. One of the nice things is now you can tell at a glance when something is due back soon or if something is overdue. I don't have an example of an overdue item on this account, but you can see that this one is due back soon because it's in this gold. Overdue items are shown in red. And then if it's neither of those, then it's just going to be in this blue. So that's a nice feature for seeing that. On the holds page, another thing that we added was this box up at the top that highlights when something's ready for pickup to separate it from things that are not yet ready. So that's a nice distinction as well, that I can see, oh, I do have things here. And there's also this little bell icon that matches what's on this page to also show that. So you don't even have to go into your holds page to know that something is ready. And then the freezing and unfreezing is quite a bit easier with, there's just the buttons over on the side for if you want to freeze an item, which makes more sense than the old catalog did. Another thing that we are able to pull into the new catalog is also interlibrary loans. And so if somebody does have an interlibrary loan that they've requested, it will show up on this page. And so one of the nice things is that you can see the different statuses here. So this is an item that hasn't yet been received. They still have the option to cancel it. This is something that's been returned. It'll eventually come off their account. And this is something that they have checked out currently. And we've added this request renewal button. It's not always that we can renew ILLs. I think it's pretty rare, but we at least give them the option that, you know, they can request it of us and we can request it of the lending library. And then another of the integrations is now Overdrive is a little bit more seamless than it was before with checking out digital content. You can see what you have already checked out and then what you have on hold. And you have, you know, all of the, what?
116 holds.
Oh, yeah. This is a very popular item. You can see if this item is checked out to you, you don't have to go to Overdrive's site at all in order to get that content. If you're a Nook reader or somebody who reads on their computer, you can get the EPUB download link from here. You can go directly to Amazon's site if you're a Kindle borrower, or if you just want to read in browser, the Overdrive read option is also there. So that's really nice that people can do it all within the catalog without going to the third-party site. And they can also return it from here. And then there's edit options for editing holds down here as well. And so then next up is the borrowing history, which is very visual. It looks much better than the old one. Now we have the cover art so that if you're a visual person and you remember what the cover looks like, but you don't remember the name of it, you can tell just from that. And there's also a grid version if you just want to look at covers and you don't want to, you know, see all the other stuff. This is much more visual. And then saved searches was a feature that had been in our catalog from 2 times ago, and they were called preferred searches. And now they're being brought back as saved searches, but they're pretty much the same thing where a patron can, if there's a search that they want to get alerts for when new items are added with that, they can save it and then turn those alerts on. So you can see over here on the side, you know, this is an example of one that the alert has been turned on. This one, the alert is off. And so it's just kind of up to them whether they want that email alert or not. So that is saved searches. And the last thing I'll point out in the account is just the My List page, which again is much more visual than in the old catalog. Again, it has the covers so that people can see easily, you know, what this item looks like and get a little bit more information about it. And for the lists are one thing that we don't have the ability to get from the old catalog ourselves and transfer over. And so patrons have to do that manually themselves. But we have written, if you click on this link down here, it'll give you the description on how to transfer those. So we can offer them at least a way that they can more quickly do it manually. So that is all I have for you. Does anybody have any questions after the demo portion?
Thank you for going over all the features.
Yeah, that's great.
We probably not all.
Awesome. I'll give you your spot back.
Thank you very much. So now we'll return to the regular agenda. I guess we're on item 4. The committee to appoint, to evaluate the director. It says board action required. I'm not sure that board action is required. I think the president is able to just appoint the committee. And I have asked Hannah and Robin and Noah to be on this committee, and they thankfully all agreed to do it. So that's the committee. And thank you very much. You do have a fair amount of latitude with how you choose to operate the committee. So but these two are pros. They have experience. So the next one is the policy review, unattended children. Not actually sure board action is required on this either because there weren't any changes. Does anyone have any particular concerns or comments about this policy? Sounds like it works as is. So moving on then to alcohol in the library policy, and this does require board action.
We probably need to say that we reviewed it though, don't we?
I don't know, do we?
I think the minutes can show that we
Yeah, the
reviewed it.
minutes will show that.
I don't know.
Anyway, so we're on alcohol in the library policy. Patty was in charge of the revisions to this policy. Are there comments, concerns? Okay. All in favor of adopting the, oh, we do need a favor. We need a motion. I need a motion to approve the adoption of the changes to alcohol in the library policy.
Second.
And a second, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I think when Derek's off the board, we need to give him an award for.
Most of us.
It's a little bit better than it was on Zoom. Oh my
Right.
God, we'd all sit there in our little boxes and eventually.
Yeah, it's like, huh? Who's gonna move it? I don't care.
All right. We're moving right along. We are now down to staff reports, and Ellsworth's report comes first.
And my report is on page 33. It got shuffled back with the other items there. This time of year always feels like kind of a little bit slower. We're catching up. We're kind of doing that internal facing work. So not a lot of exciting stuff on the report, but it stands as it is. One thing that's happened since then, we had our budget meeting with the city where we present the budget request. It went really well. It felt very thorough. Ann Mangano attended with me. We went through, almost every line that we had requested a change on, and we're able to just sort of justify and talk through what those changes might look like. It felt very positive. We had, of course, followed the directions of what to prepare and how to. I walked into it expecting it to go well because we had been very responsive to what Jeff had asked for. So I felt like it went well, and I look forward to seeing what we hear back. And then just please note the date of the legislators reception. That will be on Zoom again this year, 5:30 on Tuesday, December 7th. For folks who haven't attended that in the past, there is a lot that needs to be done. It's just a chance for libraries to present sort of what we're working on, sort of say thank you to legislators for the support, highlight some things coming up. And last year, I remember it was pretty quick and we had good attendance on Zoom, so hopefully the same will happen. There was specifically noted on the agenda calendar that we would talk about the board recognition dinner. If people feel like I'm being too conservative, I will absolutely listen to the group, but I put those most recent Johnson County Public Health guidelines for group gatherings, and I still think it's a little early to be planning a shared event, especially if we want to invite folks outside of this.
And if you want to eat.
Right,
So-
otherwise it'll just be a meeting that we can all.
Right.
So unless there's any questions, that's the report.
Okay, and he has the Ped Mall step update paragraph down here. I assume everybody got that memo from the city. All right, departmental reports, adult services, I guess, is that first?
There's a lot. Yeah.
I didn't include nice pictures.
Oh, yeah.
Sandy.
I was so confused when I got to this and the first heading was general research and car and engine. I was like.
We're now giving.
Was there a copy paste error?
That was a hint about the computer. I'm like, I'm gonna check that out.
Exactly. It's like library administration, the art of car maintenance.
It is a weird package that they sold me, but I took it, so they kind of threw it. Here's a small engine. But small engine is something we've never been able to offer before because this is the only one I know of. We had children's before.
Well, when I was a public librarian, those car repair manuals were a nightmare because they
Oh,
got
yeah.
stolen all.
Oh, yeah.
Never got returned.
Yeah. Especially those ASC books.
As they fell apart was our thing here, so
Yeah.
we used to have, half the aisle. They've been whittled down over the years.
Yeah.
With low use. You only need it once and then checks out again when you're the only owner of that Subaru.
I did have a question about the online resources task force. Is that a state library task force?
It was,
Okay.
before July ended. When July, they all ended. We did this task force of many different libraries in the state about what sorts of things we'd like to see from the state library. So far, they've only really expanded brain views. So now there's online tutoring options on brain views and live help for your resume help, a lot of job search stuff.
Okay. And I agree with the kudos about the programming. It's really great. Okay, moving on to Sam's very colorful report. So what is collection inspection? What do? They inspect?
So, sometimes books are a little well-loved, and even if they're not checked out, they can be well-loved in the library, and then they get put back on the shelf. So this is an opportunity for us to make sure there isn't ephemera that's been placed in there, or there's so many things of that nature. And just making sure things are shifted and dusted, and that our collection is engaging to those who are browsing it.
So they just you get assigned sections.
Yeah. It's really good work too. I think that's why it's so stellar when you approach the stacks.
And it looks like, well, at least twice the stats that you highlighted in the second blue box. I mean, we are recovering, I think. Things are becoming a little bit busier again.
I'd like to continue to point those out too, because I thought it was fascinating that we taught folks to place holds during the pandemic.
Right,
So we see
right.
almost a 6% increase from 2019.
That's pretty impressive.
Well, you didn't used to be able to place holds on things that are on the shelf, right?
I think so, but I just feel like when it was the exclusive model, folks kind of leaned into it more.
I thought a long time ago, I tried to place a hold on something that was on the shelf and it said, it's on the shelf. Yeah, okay.
You're right, too, about automobile materials are still kind of exclusive to that space too.
That's books you cannot.
Yeah.
Okay, any other comments?
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
No kidding.
I don't know, I'm really worried about the direction of the profession now. What are they doing? But thank you very much. I'll try to represent us well.
Oh, I'm sure you will, and I'm sure they're very grateful to have somebody who's willing to do it.
And Sam's note about the books being challenged and books being removed from, especially from school collections. This is a significant shift that we're seeing, and it's prolific and it's happening fast and in places that we wouldn't expect.
Have we had issues here?
We haven't had issues here. We've been talking quite a bit about ways that we can position ourselves to support those school librarians who might be facing challenges, to support the libraries that maybe just don't have the resources to know what to do immediately. But I do think it's something that we need to all be aware of, because it could move very swiftly into our community, and we want to be prepared to do the most impactful moves that we can make.
Any other comments about Sam's report? No? Okay, Patty, you're up next, I think.
Thank you, Carol. Oh, I actually saw who were at Prairie Lakes on Sunday night. It was fun to be in person with people again. That's shocking. We do not yet know how successful it was, but every dollar it brings in is one we did not have. You know, someone placed a $600 online order, which is awesome.
Wow.
So we'll find out, there were 54 folks in person, which was lovely. And this just is coming together. We're going to have a unite to read on December 8th. That's a Wednesday at Moda. Both locations, so you can enjoy breakfast, lunch, and dinner at Moda and help the library. They are as excited as we are. So first, we've been working on this one for quite some time. Be happy to answer any questions about just the season for giving. What's coming out the day after our ELT. Surprise bunches are back in the store as well as online.
So no holiday book sale, craft sale, you don't let it go this year?
No, not in
Even
person.
online, even on,
Online, we're doing craft bazaar.
must have missed it, okay.
I will have more information that hasn't been, people are donating their items and we're photographing them.
Right.
Hope to get it live soon.
He assigned that to me and Derek.
I'm sorry.
He assigned that to me and Derek to share.
Okay, thank you. You've done item D there. So next, we're up for a report on the staff in-service day. Are there any questions about that?
Looks fun.
You've gotten your invitations, I assume, and RSVP, you know, I do encourage you to go if you can. Obviously, people who have day jobs, it's a little hard. So, but I've always found the experience to be very worthwhile and well run. Miscellaneous. What falls under miscellaneous? I didn't really have much of a president's report. I hope everybody has a good Thanksgiving and is able to meet with family that you couldn't meet with last year. I mean, one Zoom Thanksgiving for me was enough. It was kind of fun to see what each family unit was cooking, but I wouldn't want to do it again. Like I said, I encourage attendance at the in-service day if you can. It's a great way to get some continuing ed. And my other item on my report was to ask about when we might expect a new board member, and that's already been covered, so we'll skip that. I do appreciate the evaluation committee willingness to serve. Okay, announcements for members. Anybody have? No? Committee reports. I do see that the foundation has met on November 9th.
Yeah, we reviewed a lot of tax forms and approved them, and they were turned in last week. That was some very exciting.
Sorry.
The book gala happened, which Patty already mentioned, and the Arts and Crafts Bazaar, they've started the call for donations. So it starts around Thanksgiving. Around, so sometime. And they're also recruiting for new board members. If you know anyone, spread the word.
Didn't they just do that?
Yeah.
Always.
Oh, okay. All right, communications. No, I'm not aware of anything beyond that city memo about the step. Okay, the next item is the consent agenda. Are there questions or discussion around the agenda, the minutes or the disbursements?
Do we have disbursements from last month and this month?
Yes. Okay. In that case, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda. Go for it, Derek. Did someone second? No, thank you. All in favor? Okay. Now, the agenda for the December meeting, I think is also a little bit, looking a little bit light. I've lost my days. Oh, I guess it's the accreditation form. Is that what we'll be looking at?
We'll be taking a look at that.
Okay. So that's what you have to look forward to. December.
And obviously, that's another quick turnaround. We just have
Yeah.
2 weeks between, or 3 weeks, not a full month.
Well, it'll be a full month this time, but because we met on the third weekend.
It feels,
Thanks. Well, the last time was just a 3-week
Yeah, it
turnaround.
was
So
bang, bang.
that's really quick. Okay.
Kind of a long time between December and January.
We're all being strangers.
Maybe COVID will go away. Masks.
I think following Christmas, that's.
Yeah, you think that's likely? Right? Okay, in that case, I think that I will adjourn the meeting. Everybody have a really good holiday. When does the meter stop?
6 o'clock.
Oh,